Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to College COD. We are here for our second match on the night. We missed you. We hope you got some snacks. Hope you got hydrated. We're all ready to go here for our next match. And, well, taking you through the action for the rest of the night is going to be myself, Visions, alongside Proper. It's good to be back in the virtual booth. Brother, how you doing, man? How you looking forward to the matches?
I'm doing great. I've missed you. I mean, we got to watch some Call of Duty over the weekend. We got to play some games during the off season, but it's been a while since we the last time we casted Vanguard. Decoy was still being played. It was still being scripted.
Oh,
it's been a minute. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, just Decoy left my brain, but that was a long time ago. But now we are ready to go here, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a fantastic matchup here for ourselves. We are going to have University of Texas going up against the University of Texas at Arlington here. So a bit of a rivalry for as far as what we do have. And on top of that, these are two names that we absolutely know and love throughout the College COD season here for us Proper. A bit of a different roster, a couple of different shakeups coming in, but overall should make for a fantastic matchup.
Yeah, it absolutely will. You know, starting off with their week one matches, UTD, University of Texas Dallas, they are 0-2 overall. They were able to at least win their handful of hard points. They're 3-3 overall, but they have not won a single search and destroy, which is quite telling for this team as a whole. Maybe a shell of their previous team, but when we end up talking about this team as a whole, you'll start to recognize that these names are not necessarily similar. Here's your head-to-head graphic looking at these two individual teams. The difference maker here is that UTA are 1-1. They were able to walk a win with that win, that first win versus St. Mary's. They took it in a swift 3-0 fashion.
They did. 3-0. It looked really solid. And both of these teams have also matched up against Texas Tech. And both, of course, did lose, but they played them pretty close, which is why I think that we're framing this one up as a very fun matchup that could end up being very competitive, maybe even potentially going the distance here. So it should be a good look at for as far as what we are going to get. Now, we do take a look at one of our squads. I think we got a lot of really good information, getting a chance to talk to some of the players here for us. UTD, one of those squads that obviously has a reputation in the scene here, Andy, looking to see if they're going to be able to keep that going. Of course, no longer have some of their staple players like Justin Pistachio, like some of these other guys, but we'll have to see exactly how Chem's going to come through, BB Infamous. We also have I Love Wendy's and X Kieran to take all of those superstars' places here to see if they're going to be able to kind of carry this legacy throughout 2022.
The only returning player out of all four of these is Wendy's. They were playing on University of Texas Dallas, their green roster last year, which was their little sister team, if you will. UTD Orange was their primary roster, but Wendy's is now that player that's going to be stepping up to the plate and try to lead these players to any sort of amount of success that they possibly can. This roster was quite literally formed in the last possible moment possible. Lagging, who was also playing in UTD for their little sister team last season, was just trying to fill up the roster to make sure that they at least had a spot. And that spot got filled in quite, honestly, so beautifully. I mean, these players are still working on a lot of chemistry with one another, still trying to figure out what they want as far as what roles and what they're trying to do across the entirety of the map.
Sure.
We got to give a big shout out to Infamous. Again, an international student. If you're unfamiliar with BB Infamous, be on the lookout for what they're doing on Search and Destroy. An international student from Pakistan that plays a lot of Search and Destroy. What they were telling us earlier was that this Infamous individual was playing 12v12 and 6v6 Search and Destroy for quite a few titles. That takes a lot of gusto, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that scene over there is absolutely wild. We are very excited to see what BB Infamous in particular is going to be able to bring on the day. It feels like he is actually one of the most experienced players on the roster. Does a lot of the shot calling and S&Ds, so it'll be fun to watch exactly what happens in those search and destroys. But we got to take a look at the other side as well. UTA, these guys have been grinding. They picked up a win last week, like Proper had alluded to, and they have that 1-1 record coming through here. We got Schlepp, we got Prodigy, we got Stridence as well, and then High Tech here as our four players here on UTA Mavericks.
Schlepp, the returning member for the Mavericks coming through. Again, they were playing on their little sister team last season. Now they're stepping up to be their captain, a senior here at UTA, to be able to showcase what they end up having to offer for ourselves. We had a little bit of time to actually talk to Harry earlier on in this day, and you're absolutely right to phrase up this one point, my friend, is that they came to grind, they came to win. They've been putting in the practice, they've been trying to look at every single possible corner that they can possibly make as squeaky clean to go in through the rest of the season and make sure that they are a force to be reckoned with.
It's going to be a good look here, ladies and gentlemen. That is the frame up out of our squads. But now we're going to take a look at the maps that are coming through here for our second match on the day. And it's going to be Bocage to kick off the series. We'll move into a Berlin hardpoint. And then if need be, we'll have a Tuscan hardpoint for map 4, and then a search and destroy on Berlin to tie the knot. But looking at these first couple of maps here, Andy, what do you got in mind? What's kind of jumping off the page?
Well, that Berlin hardpoint definitely screams at me.
Yes,
if you are a Mavericks fan. The University of Texas at Arlington, when you go back to that match that they did end up, of course, losing to Texas Tech. Well, the one map that they took was on a hardpoint, and it was on Berlin, where they were able to win 250 to 87. That's what's impressive about this as a whole, because we know Texas Tech is a very strong school. We've been able to see what they were able to do just last week as well, and I'm sure that they are quite potent with saying that, hey, it was a map loss, but it's still a map win here for UTA. I'm definitely looking at the first 3 maps as a whole, that if University of Texas Dallas cannot come out to be able to win at least one of that first hardpoint, or show us what they have to offer on a Bocage Search to Destroy, well, it might spell disaster once we get to that map number 3.
It very well might. But ladies and gentlemen, we're loading in. It is time. Map number 1 here for week number 2, second match on the night. We're going to have plenty of action, but it starts here right now with UTD COD and UTA Mavericks. Who's going to be able to show up here? You're looking for your first win if you are University of Texas Dallas. They are desperately trying to see if they can get back up to form, but with a new squad, trying to figure out roles here, Andy. It's not going to be easy, but now it's time to kick it off.
Well, if there's one thing that we definitely know is that you're going to see a lot of submachine gun action. And if there's one thing that lagging, as well as Ken was telling us earlier, is that all 4 players definitely love to run a submachine gun. Though off the opening rip, you can see a big 2-for-1 as it all unfolds in the middle of the map. Again, Bocage is going to be continuously very mix-heavy. At least that's the frame-up for the map and what we've seen so far for it. But UTA Mavericks able to win that opening rip, starting to accrue about 15 seconds, and this can't go unanswered for UTD.
No, it cannot. Don't typically see a lot of time go over on P1, but if you can get a setup intact, it could be great. That's going to be 3 down that come through here now, and High Tech finds himself on the point. Excellent assistance coming in there. 2-0 start, not even dying. Getting all of this time. Kem is just going to drop as he tries to challenge, and High Tech again. 4-0 with a good 30 seconds so far on P1.
Yeah, starting off with a 4, of course, that would be put to rest. So we would have loved to be able to see that glide bomb be accrued quite early on, but it's not going to be the case. What has been earned is 28-6 on the opening rip of Bocage. Again, very unheard of, trying to get Mixie over by the tank field, our UTD, but it's not coming up in their favor. UTA Mavericks, they have the close tin spawns. They're in for the initial time.
High Tech here, takes a different route, comes from behind, says hello, finds one, now can zone out from the front, finds the second. High Tech really finding that groove that is needed on Bocage, and just look at the zoning, look at the control. Everyone here so far away from the point on the side of UTD. Can't even get through the middle of the map as Prodigy off screen has just got a 3-piece for us. And well, this has been one hell of an opening. UTA looking to make a statement here, and they're doing a good job. Might be another full 60 coming in.
Yeah, it's starting to look that way, isn't it? I mean, we're down to 20 seconds. UTD COD are starting to look like that they're going to have to rotate all the way through. I mean, they're going to have to be forced as Schlepp finds 3 with the automaton. That's actually going to force all of UTD COD to actually spawn closer towards that end of the river. Flipping out the spawns is exactly what the Mavericks were looking for that moment in time. Schlepp has still not died, by the way. They're on 7-0. Another 4 first Tridents here. And then Prodigy also went down on a 5. So streaks fully accrued across the board here for the Mavericks going into P3.
I mean, it's not too many times on Bocage we see someone make it through to the 3rd rotation and not even die. And I think Schlepp's like, all right, I'm going to go take a look, take a little peek in the hill. Can I keep this going? Will be prone behind the car. And Wendy's pulls out the pistol to be able to take home the kill. So 81-14, largely looking like it's UTA taking full control of this map off the start. But UTD, they have a chance to be able to get back in. They have the close spawn. They got a bit of control. Now you need to lock down some time.
Be able to find these kills as well. Easier said than done here in the cage where things are going to constantly be mixy. And I mean, this 80-some-odd point lead that Mavericks hold, to your point there, not something that we see every single time that we load into a Bocage. I don't really care what team that we're looking at, but they're just winning so many favorable gunfights, so many influential gunfights that is just giving them so much space and opportunity to be able to lock down some serious time. Already over the 100-point margin in the first set of hills coming through P3, another clean kill feed. Wendy's trying to make an argument for it, but Prodigy will cut them down as we go into the barn for 4.
Yeah, let's see how well they're going to be able to watch all the entry points, but you gotta find Tridents, and when he snaps 1 to 2 to 3 like that, it is not going to be easy to hold a setup. Talk about a break. coming in strong here. Off the back foot of having to make a rotation from the front, and Strident still not looking to go down. Another snap. Is he going to be able to get 3? Stop it, Strident. My goodness. The damage is done. You get to take a breath for a second, but UTD, they do not get to take a breath. They need time, and sooner or later, it's got to come in.
I guess the saving grace there is that you have 32 bullets in the MP40, and they're going to run out eventually. But here come UTD COD on the bounce back. They're finding themselves some favorable kills, and scrap time is a great place to start if you are a fan of the Temox. That being said, though, you have a massive mountain to climb, and that's not just a pun for UTA. That is quite literally what's going on here inside the Bocage hardpoint. You got to be able to find these gunfights inside of grannies. You got to try to get in the backside of hedges to be able to upset the initial time here on 5.
Ooh, 124 to 40. Another rotation intact for the side of UTA. UTD, they really need to wait for one another. You can see player 6 right now. Kieran, he's going all by himself down low. His teammate's going up top. Does take one-on-one and will be able to at least clear out the point for a second. The Prodigy's going to be able to clean that right back up. Throws his body on the point. Can start soaking up time. And UTD have not been able to find a window into the back, but they do get inside of the silo, but it's only for a second. Strident now pulling out the AR, looking to watch over his teammates as he's going to be able to cut everyone down that tries to flood in.
It's a power position, and Schlepp down low here inside the hill with an automaton themselves is just locking down this entire lane. This is not looking quite stellar for UTD COD through the first set of hills. We're down to 15 seconds remaining, and it's going to be about a 120, 130-point lead that the Mavericks are going to be holding over UTD's head. At least a clean kill feed there for the end is going to be about 10 seconds, but that's all they're really going to be able to fight for. It was some scrap time going over towards 4, maybe a little bit of 2. They kept 3 contested, but they really got to start coming into their own, start playing a little bit closer together, start collapsing with one another to be able to get in for the initial time on some of these hard points.
We go through the first rotation. Strident's 23 and 10 with a minute in the point. Prodigy as well, putting up some big numbers at 20 kills, and you just don't see the same on the other side of the board, but maybe that can change. UTD, they find a favorable kill feed here. Infamous trying to get Mixie on the 6th break, fully streaked out, tries to turn, but it's high-tech. Finds 2, takes out a teammate here, but makes up for it, clears out the point, and now they can continue to fight over the next 25 seconds.
Yeah, now you could just continuously slay out. You don't always have to find favorable kills if you are UTA. You could just continuously just wipe UTD off the map. You can try to contest some time. You have that stellar leader's advantage of about 121 points going into 2, which the last time around during the first set of hills, they made a money hill out of it, given that they were holding onto the closer spawns. Now it's UTD's turn. They have those 10 spawns. Would love to see them lock down some lanes, maybe get a player inside a barn, and stop the Mavericks from stampeding over their face for this hill.
All right, UTA, let's see how they try to break this one. Big gunfight down low. Strident, of course, opens it up on the point, but in the back, more importantly, high-tech might be able to influence those spawns, and it looks like he's able to get back there, but player 5, Kem, is trying to lock it down himself. Don't necessarily have the spawns just yet, but Strident's trying to secure them. Able to weave that glide bomb in, finds the kill, takes down Kieran. Wendy's now also here to add some reinforcements from the barn. It looks like they're able to deal with everyone in the back, and so far so good here. UTD trying to stay in it, but they got to deal with one more, and they do so successfully.
They will. Still battles ensuing, as we know and love here for Bocage, but lead still about at 100 points. Strident's still looking for this one player over by the tree. Big win by Kem. That's still the battle over for the scrap, and it's going to have to start and continue on from here. Now we go over towards Grandma's house, where she has taken a lot of time to be able to keep things clean, but these boys are going to make a big old mess out of it as the UTD are going to try to break in from the front. And they're finding the slays as well. This is a very favorable kill feed for UTD to be able to find themselves inside this hill for some much-needed time.
I don't think Grandma's going to be happy proper. Doors are being busted open. Walls are completely shattered. Not looking great overall, but looking a little better for UTD COD at the moment. This is just about trying to actually hold some of the hardpoint time. Schlepp there for 2. Prodigy from the side finds the 3rd. Now all up to Kem, and he gets cut down with some bad timing. The spawn's in the back, but more importantly, you got to make sure you are not spawn trapped here in this instance. From the side, Prodigy. Schlepp able to find a couple more, and it's high-tech again inside the point. Might be 17 and 20, but he has been picking up a lot of the dirty work trying to lock down the time here, and now UTA find themselves well over 200 points, getting closer to that 250 mark.
Yeah, and they're stopping UTD from entering in every single doorway, but one player pushed a little bit too close to the hedges, so that's going to force UTD to spawn almost over by P5. They're trying to end up battling for this scrap time. 3 to 4 is not exactly the longest rotation, but you bring yourself back during the first set of hills. This is where Stridents win absolutely AWOL, but it's I Love Wendy's this time around. They open up with a big 2. Now it just comes down to trade. Infamous is in, is able to find one. Can they turn and burn? No, they were actually run out of ammo, but Kieran is going to be hiding behind these barrels, waiting for reinforcements to come help him from behind.
Kieran from the side wants to try to push things out, gets the trade, but needs to get a little more work done. All alone inside the hard point, looking for people to shoot at right now, but gets caught on the reload. UTA come through with a swift cleanup. And Schlepp here again with the AR. Has streaks, and I don't even think you need them because you could end it on this hill if you can hold out the next 20 seconds. But UTD going to keep them off the point for a second. Still looking good overall here, Andy, as this might be the final nail in the coffin. Prodigy for 2, Schlepp for 1 more. The spawns are not close whatsoever for the side of UTD COD, and you got Prodigy just on a rampage out front, calling in the glide bomb, all for good measure. No one can get to that point. And there you have it. UTD COD don't have enough in the tank. And it is going to be UTA that strike first here in the best of 5.
Yeah, just a little bit of a slow start. I mean, if you don't come out on Bokaj just absolutely swinging, absolutely twisted out of your mind, you're going to be put in the blender quite early on, and that's exactly what ended up happening for UTD. I mean, UTA, they had, 100 points going through P3. You can see Prodigy 36-26 overall with 20 untraded kills. Everybody was just doing their part. You had one player start off flawless. Schlepp didn't even die through their first 7 engagements. With an automaton, nevertheless. Yeah, exactly. On Bokaj, nevertheless, where you think that trades are coming every single turn, that just was not the case during the first set of hills for UTD. It took them a little while longer to get heated up, to start finding these crosses, to start finding these trades, to find some influential kills. And even then, it has to come through with a sequence of kill feeds. You can't just find one, Austin. You got to be able to find 2. And if you can find that 3rd or 4th, well, you can see what that meant for the Mavericks. They snowballed that first set of hills. To be over 100 points on a Bokaj going into P3, that's just absurd. It's just something that we're probably never going to be able to talk about ever again, but UTA just made it happen.
Yeah, and it's something about that map in particular where it feels like when you fall at such a deficit, it's just so difficult to work your way back into the game because that is such a momentum-based map if we ever had one in Call of Duty. With the way that the pacing and the tempo works, and once you build up enough of a lead, I mean, it is really difficult to throw it away at times, especially when streaks start coming into play and your subs are firing on all cylinders like that. So a really tough one here. And now we get to frame up our second map where things do get interesting because we looked at last week, 0-3 in S&D here for the side of UTD. On the other hand, UTA weren't necessarily pretty throughout this game mode, but they did do a lot of improvements throughout this week here. We got a chance to be able to talk, of course, to Schlepp. He said they were actually putting in a lot of time to S&D scrims, which is not something that we see a lot of here in the scene.
No, it's not, because Search and Destroy as a whole, I mean, even all the way up to the pro scene, you don't really hear them screaming a lot of Search and Destroy because strategies you want to keep in your back pocket for tournament results, right? For championship results, not for a regular season matchup where you have to almost throw everything and the kitchen sink out the window to be able to find round wins. But this is where it's do or die for UTD. UTA, on the other hand, knowing that they were just trying to practice everything they possibly can coming into Search and Destroy, they kind of got smacked in the mouth. They thought that Search and Destroy was going to be their bread and butter game mode. It was not. It was their hardpoint that was able to at least win them out in that Berlin hardpoint versus Texas Tech. But even still, their Search and Destroy would love to see their improvements. Same thing could be said for UTD. Not winning a single Search and Destroy through week number 1. They made it all the way to map 5 versus Texas A&M. But the fact of not being able to close out a Search and Destroy is not good. And they're averaging their losses just around to the 3, if not 4 round margin. So it's not like these Search and Destroys are coming very close for UTD. They're losing them by a pretty big margin. So coming off of week 1, coming into week 2, maybe we might be able to get a little bit of surprise of what we have to offer. Because again, we bring up the 1 point for Infamous, BB Infamous, out of Pakistan, the international student. Only really plays Search and Destroy is what Lagging and Kem told us. He only really plays those GBs, even when he's playing with his homies. That's all the way across the pond, over in UK, all the way in the European region. Dude just loves Search and Destroy. Would love to see that come all the way through and kind of be replicated by the other 3 players that are on UTD to be able to find success in Search and Destroy as a whole here.
I love that you bring that up. I mean, I feel like there is really a spotlight on BB Infamous coming into this, just based off of what we heard today. I mean, I don't think there's too many players in the league that we know of that are international students that are coming over here playing in college COD. And, you know, this was all off the back end of a team getting put together at the last possible second just to be able to keep this UTD legacy continuing on here throughout college Call of Duty. So I would say a lot of pressure on them to come away with a big map. But the one thing that we do know is that going forward, they do have some favorable maps here in the rotation. So this could be that swinging point if they're able to clean some things up. And you are, of course, looking at Infamous to be that shot caller. But more importantly, want to make sure that UTD, I think, is on the same page. We go back to just some of the rotations that were playing off there for us in the last map there, Andy, and it did feel like they were miscoordinated overall. Not always on the same page, not always working for some of those baiting and switch plays, and you need that here in S&D for Bocage when you're retaking sites, specifically on the attack. So we'll see what ends up happening here, ladies and gents. Map number 2 here in the best of 5. UTA strike first. We'll see if UTD can answer back.
High tech's already inside the site, and they have some help. M's right around the corner, just waiting for the door, and what a decisive opening rip coming through from the Mavericks. They got inside Grandma's, inside Tools very early. They're winning some gunfights as well. Big trade comes through, but it's not going to dissuade the bomb from being planted. 35 seconds left.
3 versus 3. Nice setup here, corner to corner right now, but High Tech maybe rethinking that position. Shots through the wall, spray and pray, and Infamous going to be able to fly out and finds High Tech. 20 seconds now. Prodigy for 1, Prodigy for 2. Nice read, finds both, and that will be enough to close out the first round.
This goes back to the frame up that you were starting to hint at. As far as Bocage Search is concerned, you have to be decisive. You have to be adamant about these pushes that you are finding for yourself. We even saw that this past weekend all the way up to the CDL level. We'll see it in Challengers as well, and it has to be replicated here in collegiate Call of Duty. When you make decisive actions like that, you get inside the bomb site, and you just hold all the angles, and you bait out the first engagements. Well, yeah, you can find yourself in a numbers advantage and just wait for the engagements to come to you, but it's starting to look like that we might be having player drop, maybe? I don't know. Are they? Okay, all right. Just making sure. I mean, hey, I've seen some zany strategy. I've been casting Search and Destroy for a few years now, okay? And I've seen some zany strategies. It was like, well, let's just wait inside the barn. I don't know. I can't really throw anything out the window. But even still that first round that was able to come through for an offensive push, no less. It was very quite potent to be able to see that come through as decisive as we did.
Yeah, very much so. Well, of course, we'll get things resolved as soon as possible, but I hope all you guys at home are enjoying the college COD so far. I got to say, Andy, it's good to be back. It's always a long waiting period in between seasons, but we've had a lot of kickoffs, had a lot of tournaments, so it's been a fun time. Hope you guys have been enjoying the ride, but back into this one. I mean, breaking down Bocage S&D, it feels like this is really one of those maps that you're either really good at or you're really bad at, and if you're willing to throw it into the rotation, it feels like you need to have some set strategies on how you're going to be able to break some of these initial setups. Coming back to the point that, you relayed as well, being able to bait and switch correctly. If you're not finding trades when you're breaking inside of the sites, specifically the A site here, it can be very difficult to be able to find any value. And once you get that bomb down, we know there's a lot of clutch spots. I mean, the interesting thing as well is that, we did just get our kickoff throughout last weekend. So you get to watch what some of the pro teams are doing, how they're starting to break down some of these sites. Of course, it's not going to reveal anything likely until we start seeing stage 1, but it did give us a good idea at how teams are starting to play. And I mean, it was extremely fast paced. You go back to how Bocage S&D was kind of playing out through the first couple of weeks, and it felt like things would slow down at first. Everyone's just like a waiting game, trying to use the little angles that peek through the cracks in the wood to try to get some information. But things have certainly sped up with how teams are starting to play right now, with how aggressive they're also being here on the map too.
Yeah, because they know about all the different head glitches that you can end up getting for yourself, especially on Bocage. I mean, you get inside tools like that, you name it. I mean, there are workbenches galore inside of Granny's as well. You can get up close towards that south door. It becomes quite peril for a lot of teams to try to work their way in. It almost feels like you're trying to break back into P3 at that point. You just have players just playing in their ratty corners, playing with those head glitches, playing upstairs as well through the windows. You can see a lot of different crosses and angles through the gate, over by the tank field as well. You name it, there's going to be a lot of players that can put themselves in those nerdy and ratty positions to be able to find themselves a lot of value. But even still, as far as starting the round slow, starting the round fast, I love to be able to see that first round just be as quick and decisive as it truly was, because the one thing that we didn't see defensively is those stun checks, are those early nades come all the way through. That was very potent if you're taking away anything to compare from the CDL to where we are down here at College COD, or even if you want to compare to Challengers, top 64 teams, top 8 teams, doesn't matter. Those stun checks, those early grenades, you have to learn those spots to be able to deter such an aggressive push coming all the way through like that. Because if you don't stop UTA from doing things like that, then honestly speaking, it could be a very, very fast search and destroy, let's be honest.
Man, I actually love that you bring that up because obviously Gammon Bomb's not in the game whatsoever right now for as far as the competitive playlist. So it's all about the frags. And we got to see over the weekend, like I think it was like Crim6 in particular, who was just cooking these nades that were just coming out of nowhere. And he was finding some ridiculous kills. So if you've done your homework and you've went into some of these maps and you've practiced some of your set nades, it can sometimes earn you a first blood, even 2 kills here with 1 nade. But I think you bring up another great point, making sure that you are using your stuns effectively. You're not just throwing them out for the sake of throwing them out, making sure you're using them for information, and that information, of course, giving you a better chance of being able to retake the sites or being able to just overall get the info to find that first blood, challenge out, get a little aggressive. That's a lot of what Bocage is. And, you know, some players are going to be able to find that groove, some players aren't. But I think, you know, at that same note, as things slow down at the front of some of these bomb sites, you have seen a lot of teams opt in for some of these flank angles, specifically using the riverside from the defensive and being able to get behind enemy lines, because we know that setup, especially when you get that bomb down, you can play at the top of Barn, Andy, get your AR posted up there so that he can have that bomb checks, and that's what allows your subs to be able to get a little mixy and start moving throughout the bomb site, you know, finding those windows of opportunity to get aggressive and actually find that kill, sneak away with your life, be annoying when they're trying to play retake. There's a lot of those different options, so we'll see how many of those flanks do end up kind of playing in here as teams try to set up with those post plants.
Yeah, timing is everything. I mean, when you think about search and destroy as a whole, no matter the map that you are playing, timing is just about everything. The submachine guns can find themselves in positions that you won't ever end up thinking to check, especially in the early rounds, not unless, again, to your point, just throwing out stuns just to throw out stuns. If you throw out a stun to be able to check one of those ratty corners, you might be able to find yourself a lot more information than you were probably assuming to start the round. But if you don't stop those timings from happening, then yeah, the SMGs, well, they're going to be feeling rather comfortable because let's be honest here, Bocage is a map of SMG playground. You have that one AR that can play that Overwatch role that you were talking about, and that makes the submachine guns feel that much more comfortable to get themselves over by the water wheel offensively, to get themselves past the gate defensively. So long as the AR is in one of those windows, top barn, top grannies, to be able to overwatch those players, well, at least you could end up going 1 for 1. If you find that 1 kill for the SMG player, you get out with your life, well, then the pressure's truly on. Numbers advantage in Vanguard Search and Destroy are so potent.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your patience. Back into the map we go at the moment. UTA, of course, closing out the very first Bocage hardpoint. But now we move back into the S&D for UTA. They did successfully take the first round, so I imagine they will be starting up 1-0 as we load back into the map here. And hopefully everything will be ready to go. I hope you guys are ready to go. This is going to be a massive map as we framed up for UTD to try and find the bounce back.
Will be a 1-0 lead for UTA Mavericks. They won't be wiped away from that offense, so we're going to UTD's offense here. And a little bit of a slow look at things as far as Kieran and Infamous are concerned. And as Chem tries to hit over towards the water wheel, Infamous was at least trying to find themselves the trade. Won't be able to lock things down. Now that bomb is in the most precarious spot you can max for.
You hit on it. And it looks like they should be able to get it back here for free. So nice team push down low, but this does really corner you on the map. Wendy's is going to be able to get one back here. Slept just a little bit too over aggressive here as Infamous searching for information. Looks like they want to make this team play happen, but it's going to be High Tech waiting in the corner patiently. Finds the kill, and now UTA up by a man.
That was that one little ratty spot that I was talking about, that workbench. You think that it's another set of tools. Nope, it's just a player ready to gun you as soon as you enter. And I love this coming through from UTA. They're trying to play for the retake. Stun check comes through from High Tech, but the bomb gets planted regardless.
Gotta play retake here. Challenge on the site. Wendy's can't find the kill, but he does challenge out. However, quick trade to Fallout. 2 players hot on his tail. Nowhere to go. Very clean patience. Very clean retake. UTA now 2-0 up.
Little gestures coming out from Strides. Just hold on.
Stop, please.
Just stop.
Not allowed in here.
A little crossing guard action, maybe, but even still, you love that little reservation coming out from UTA as a whole. You know, they lost that first player of Schlep. To your point, a little bit over aggressive with the angles that they were trying to fish out for, but you know, the second that they go down, that's just veteran strategy coming out from UTA. And you know, we go back to talking about how they thought Search and Destroy was going to be their go-to game mode, how they took a keen focus between week 1 and to this very day in time. Maybe that was one thing that they were able to walk away with, it just being a little bit more passive with their retakes. Just don't try to gun in there, wait for the bomb to be planted. But their offense this time around, Austin, looking like a B committal. They have one player looking over top of these gates. The smoke is out. Is at least going to block that line of sight from I Love Wendy's over by that willow tree, and that's going to allow the bomb to be planted here at B.
Yeah, we don't see it too often, but it is going to be Chem and Infamous finding a couple, and Schlepp up close, and well, UTA, I didn't think it was looking good after they lost one of their members here first, but they recover beautifully.
Oh, absolutely. And it's high tech in that very powerful position. I mean, they knew that there was going to be at least one player over by the willow tree, right? I mean, if you don't have a player over by the willow tree, to be completely honest with you, you're probably costing a defense because it's going to open up the B lane so much easier. But that smoke and the commitment that came through, just waiting for the right moment of time, whether some stuns came through or nades, regardless, it's that decisive action that we got to see from the Mavericks in their opening offense, this time over towards the B side. UTD still down by 3 rounds. Remember, it is Mavericks that won that first round before we reset the lobby. Going back over towards A. Don't want your bomb carry to over-commit themselves past that water wheel side to drop it quite early. Infamous is looking pretty twisted, but still struggling to find any amount of information.
Well, he's going to go searching right into the site. Trying to set up the fake plan here. Schlepp going to take a peek, and he is going to be able to find the head of Infamous somehow with the spray, but Kieran has now found 2. Brings us to even odds on both sides. The setup looking good right now. Schlepp here with high tech. And they're going to have this site completely on lock right now for A. You got to retrieve this bomb, and Wendy's, he's trying to peek on through, but he gets the information.
They knew exactly where everything was coming from. Kieran trying to red dot chase a little bit, and, well, there's the help from behind, just out of the A side, and well, that goes back to almost a tried and true of boxing, right? Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, and that's just unfortunate because Infamous had the understanding, okay, I cleared out the window, I didn't see anybody inside the A site. They tried to work their way in there, but it was another timing that came out from the water wheel side of Grandma's. And they immediately just saw that there was a lone Infamous trying to go for that bomb plant, and losing that one player without even planting the bomb. Well, that's going to really put you on your heels. Now Mavericks up 4-0 in this BOCOD search and destroy. They love their decisive action, getting aggressive, but Infamous, can they find some timing here? Yes, they will. First blood.
It's a big one, but it's traded out. Infamous over-aggressive on the peak after finding the first blood, so it's completely neutralized, and now Schlepp's been able to find another. He is on 7 in a row right now. Tridents trying to track down Kieran, does get a bit dicey, but closes it out, and now it's all up to 1. Wendy's, 1v2, takes some shots. What do you have for us? The repeat comes in. He's going to be able to find Stridents. 35 seconds, the bomb is down. A chance to be able to find Prodigy here. This is a must-win round here for UTD.
And Prodigy can't move. And Prodigy's in the spot. He has no idea where Wendy's going to be coming from. Is he going to check the corner in time? No. Wendy's not fully expecting that there was going to be a player on that sandbag area, and they get absolutely slammed on for their push. They had somewhat of an understanding they could have been around you. You saw the sprint ended up stopping over the top of the stairs, but there's one of those many different ratty corners that we know and love here on the cage, man. You always got to keep your head on a swivel. You never know where there could be a player lurking, but brought up one point earlier on that Schlepp was on 7 in a row. They did it on BOCOD Hardpoint. They did it here on the reset for BOCOD Search and Destroy. Now up on map point for the Mavericks, and they got streaks to boot.
Streaks, remember, an extra round up there after we ended it. So 5-0 up right now for UTA. They are going to lose a couple of numbers over to the side of Texas Dallas. How are they going to use these numbers? They got to try to isolate Prodigy, but it's not easy. Prodigy, oh, he lined up all 3. Oh, I don't know what I would have done, but it doesn't happen. Now it's all up to high tech. 1v2, very doable. Lots of time on the clock. Let's see what he does.
Gonna try to play for a retake here. I mean, just waiting in top attic, and you can see the arrows, and now we get a great overlook here. Nice free cam work coming through from our observers to be able to see where all 3 players are located at, even through the walls. But high tech is going to finally reveal themselves. They find Kieran up top. Can they find the second? They're trying to finesse. Their life drops down, and oh my goodness, just a bit outside from that spray. But UTD COD, they stop the bleeding marginally, but at least get themselves on the board.
That's right. It's not a hot 6-0, Andy. They got a round. But there is so much work that needs to be done. Almost a 1v2. A little bit of a mini game there, going back and forth with the last players here caught in the 1v1. But Wendy's getting the best of them. Trying to keep his squad in the game. Now 1-5. Extra round again up on the board here for UTA. And now you need to make something happen on the defense, where it feels like they have found first bloods. The problem here, Andy, is that they just immediately get traded or they throw their life away here with over-aggression.
Yeah, quick adaptations coming through from Mavericks, not putting anybody through that middle alleyway, so that way Infamous can't find that first blood. Infamous actually has an automaton this time instead of an MP40, but M's just kind of fishing around towards the middle area of this map, trying to find any sort of information, but that's a great usage of Slap out of the glide bomb to at least confirm a lot of information. By then, you already got a trade, 3v3.
Plenty of time, 50 seconds, Prodigy with the bomb. Feels like he wants to hit a flank play. Might just come back up to this A site. They got a bit of control around it as the gunfight is over towards B right now between two members. Schlep challenges up, will be taken down, but now it's all up to one. Wendy's, he did it last round. Can he do it again? High tech. I don't know how he gets out of that one. Wendy's can't track him down, and now the bomb has been planted. He's going to make some noise, trying to bait out the play. Will he check his right corner? He will not check the right corner. Wendy's not enough in the tank there for a 1 versus 3, and that means that UTA, with the additional round before the map ended, are going to find the 6-1 closeout very clean throughout the search and destroy, extremely clean throughout the hard point, and now Andy, UTD have to pull off a reverse sweep.
A reverse sweep, and it starts on a map that does not favor them. It's a map that actually favors UTA in that standpoint, but just to go back to that search and destroy, and just Bokash as a whole, Schlep is a monster. I don't even know what a Schlep is, but even so, if it's some form of a monster that probably works at Monsters Incorporated when they were still using screams to power their entire plant, I would believe that. This dude was an absolute phenom through those first opening rounds. With an automaton, no less, was hitting the wide flank out from that tank field, constantly over by that water wheel, and was catching players all the way over by the Dovecot, behind Grandma's, over by the hedges. Those first floods were so peril to the success of UTA on that search and destroy. And even when they were playing at a numbers disadvantage, besides a one time that Wendy's ended up clutching a 1v2, even in a bomb plant situation, they were just playing that to such a high degree. Schlep, big shout out to Harry for talking to us earlier in the day to be able to say that this team of the Mavericks were taking a keen focus on their search and destroy coming away from week 1 into week 2. They were able to beat St. Mary's in their search and destroy. Sure, on that Tuscan search it was 6-4, but they lost to Texas Tech 3-6 on a Tuscan search and destroy. Immediate bounce back here. It was decisive. It was quick. It was affirmative action coming through on that Bocage search and destroy out of UTA.
UTA looking good. Improvements have been made. 2-0 up in the series. Just need one more to put it away and put another win up on the board. But we'll have to find out what happens next here, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to throw to a short break to set up our next lobby. Don't go far as we come back. Berlin Hardpoint is coming up next.
Get onto the site.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to College Call of Duty. Just saw the Bravo stream. It's like a live looking. Looks like things are popping over there. So I hope you guys got both of your tabs open right now, Alpha and Bravo. We got plenty of action to bring you guys, and it's going to continue here in this series as well. UTD COD going up against UTA Mavericks. We're talking during the break here, Andy. We know this UTD squad here is still trying to figure out what the roles are, where they're kind of looking, because they are a newer squad. 3 members coming in. Wendy's the only player that's actually staying on the roster, so we'll see if they're going to be able to find any success going into the Berlin Hardpoint.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? You don't exactly have all that blind trust. You don't exactly have all of that that background history that a lot of our other returning teams might end up happening, you know, like
Sure.
Ottawa's, or even like, hell, even for our last match of the day, you can take a look at ICC. We'll talk more about that later because we got a Berlin Hardpoint to get into, my friend. And
Yes, we
well,
do.
before we ended up hopping to the break, I was talking about how I was very nervous about it, that I really was hoping that UTD COD were going to be able to take that Bokash Hardpoint or the Search and Destroy by surprise. Because leading into this one, it's not looking too promising. This was the one map that UTA Mavericks, they were able to take versus Texas Tech in their 1-3 loss, and they did it 250-87.
Well, let's get into it. UTD, they have to pull off the miracle, and it starts with Berlin. Stridents, he was on a tear throughout the last couple maps. Looking to keep that rolling here as being searched for, but he has not gone down. He's taking a lot of shots, and his teammates clear everything out here from the front. Going to take a long look down the right side of the map, and Stridents is challenging. He's jumping, he's sliding, feeling himself off the start, but UTA, we're going to find 21 points here right off the rip.
Oh, Chem. Looks like that they might have ended up claiming their own life by a well-done nade. Definitely not the cooking pressure that you want to be looking at when you're trying to soak up that bad boy, but another great opening rip coming out from the Mavericks, and this is kind of looking one-to-one of what they did on the Bocage. Chem comes jumping and sliding back in towards the office hill, but it's just scrap time, and Berlin plays nothing like Bocage, that first map in our set. You got to be able to simultaneously end up hitting for scrap time while also trying to win out the rotation. It looks like UTD, they're trying to end up winning out this rotation going over towards Mail, but Strident, to your point, has been an absolute tear. How about 3 in a row for the kid? 5-1 for them. Gonna open up this hard point nicely for the Mavericks.
I mean, how do you hold a hill when Strident just comes in and clears out everyone? That's another 3-piece. This is not the only 3-piece because we just saw another one here from Schlepp. And it just continues as UTD are struggling to even get past the 50-yard line here on the map. And now more time being accumulated for the side of UTA. 60 points is what they're going to have. Schlepp goes to the pistol, and we'll be able to find Wendy's. Prodigy cleans up the third. Pre-fires the fourth, runs out of ammo, but goes to the pistol here again. And now one more player, Infamous, going to try to put a bit of pressure on the scrap time.
Yeah, but it's literally just going to be that. It's just scrap time. You still have about 40 seconds between these two teams. You could take a look at the minimap as a whole. Mavericks have the entire thing locked down. And, well, the biggest catalyst for that all was happening off screen. You brought it up wonderfully. That Schlepp did find that 3-piece. They are that one player on the map that's going to be holding these long angles. They have some help from High Tech to look across this main road. Infamous will take them down. Not necessarily going to break up the spawns. It's going to be a struggle to be able to work your way in because you still have High Tech all the way back by that crane.
Prodigy responsible for watching the front. Only able to come up with one. This could be your window here to try to break in. I'm still contesting the point, but he's got a lot of work to do. And overwhelming them will be the side of UTA. High Tech for 2. 3 in a row. Finds the third out front. And that means that he is on a 4 spree. You have Schlepp, who's already locked in some streaks. Looks like UTA might have this one locked up. UTA going to get this one last go, but again, it's just for scrap time here proper.
Yeah, it's just for scrap time, and you can see what that means for the Mavericks. Yet again, they're more than happy to be giving up that scrap time. Man is right, because there's nobody trying to make this rotation happen. I mean, Chem is here over by the concourse. They're going to fly. Maybe they can lock down High Tech, and they end up taking down one more. No, just some shots into Stridents. And the second that they try to challenge out from that concourse area, Prodigy is just going to be waiting. Every single time that UTD trying to make a push for that scrap time, it's just going to continuously benefit the Mavericks to get set up.
Schlepp inside the point is doing it all. Rotations, time, kills, slaying, 3 pieces. It just feels like the list goes on. That resume has certainly been building after the last couple of maps and will continue to do so. As it's 45-113, UTA, their setups get to really be broken unless it's scrap time. Infamous in the back. We'll make sure he is not turned on, and he'll also find Prodigy. So 3 players going to drop all up to 1, and they will find the trade. This is a good 20 seconds here if you can lock it down and secure it.
Yeah, this 20 seconds is just fine, given over how P5 typically does go for itself. And, well, nice nade coming out from High Tech into the center of the lap of Kieran, who's 1-10. Very unfortunate to say, as well as Wendy's up at 2-12. But Chem trying to make a big argument for the slaying power that UTD might be able to bring for themselves. 14-8 for them. But as a whole, it's not influential kills, Austin. This is what we talked about framing up for this team when it comes down to hardpoint. Finding influential kills on the rotation, Stridents up top. Has one good look at another, just going to soften up that play for High Tech to clean things up. Going into P5, they can continue to slay out like what we saw on Bocage. They were turning hills, or typically Money Hills could end up doing it again if they can keep finding these slays.
Trident somehow still alive. You can just see him completely cracked out right now. Will finally end up dropping. Chem will take him down, but picking up right where he left off, the rest of UTA trying to get some of this time here. Chem's able to at least clear out a couple of the members to be able to get a touch, but that's all they've really gotten. It's just a touch in a couple of seconds, more or less just keeping them off of the time. But Stridents now is set up in an excellent power position, trying to cut down some of the members here, flooding off the last hill. And yes, the scrap time goes over again, but look at the rotation, Andy. I don't know if UTA have won a single rotation thus far here through the first set.
No, University of Texas Dallas definitely struggling as far as morning rotations are concerned. Chem's going to try to hit it all the way through the lobby. They ended up seeing one player, but doesn't end up checking the corner. Might end up finding Stridents, but on High Tech, excuse me, sir. Who needs to check corners when you're snapping like that? But it's only the 2 kills that are found. Now it's Prodigy in the upper courtyard area to pick things up. Has to favor towards the reload. But again, the conversation is inside of P1, where all the kills are still coming across the board for UTA Mavericks inside the hill.
We are in a spawn trap if I've ever seen one, and it is not getting easier. It's getting harder. That score building up. 5 spree now for Schlepp. Feels like he's had quite a few sprees. Now up to 6 in a row as he's able to find a second. And, I mean, you can't even get to the scrap time, let alone the new hill. This has been incredible control so far for the side of UTA Mavericks. It looks like another full 60. Schlepp is still alive, mind you. 8 in a row. And Infamous is like, yeah, I'm hightailing it out of here. I'm not challenging you. I'll see you later, buddy. I'm gonna meet you at the new hill. And Schlepp's like, that's fine. I'm now going to hit a flank and see if I can pitch the play.
Yeah, Schlepp is a one-man army. They're going to find Kieran from behind. Oh, you got to finish your food there, my man, but it's going to at least soften them up. Even at that 5-second margin when UTD were trying to favor over towards the rotation, Mavericks were already set up in there. They're already finding trades, so the numbers are already dwindled. Now Schlepp is up top. You're in mail, trying to at least play the staircase. It's buying them so much time, and UTD, from all of this time allotted, have not been able to get onto the hill, finally buying themselves some space to be able to accrue some time, but it is a hefty margin to build themselves back up from, and Schlepp on a 9 spree, 21-9 for them, fully streaked out of their eyeballs, and well, there's going to be a lot to sit behind this desk and soak up some time, know that they're going to be contested, but I think the work has definitely been done.
He's been alive for 1.5 minutes right now. He's going on like 2 minutes of just surviving with an AR in the point. Finally, that's going to come to a close, and UTD, they're almost going to see 100 points, but they don't even stay for the scrap time because they know that this map is determined on what they do on this rotation here through the back. Everyone's set up, but they do find a window to get in. However, it's Prodigy. Slams the door in their face, shuts it down, and now we're looking at the final moments.
Yeah, just about 20 so seconds, now ticking up to about 16. You got to break from the front of your UTD, and they're all just coming through this one very narrow doorway, and that's just a blunder and a half that you're walking into. But Infamous from the flank will upset things for the time being. Actually finds a crucial 2. They got to stay alive a little while longer while reinforcements are sprinting across the map.
Infamous wants to get them to 100 points, and he's still going. Finds another 2. His teammates, though, need to be here. Wendy's for 2, but Strident's for the response. One more gunfight. Strident is gonna snap. And now it looks like that should be all said and done. One last contest, but they can't get in. They can't hold. And UTA will put another squad in the 100-point club on Berlin Hardpoint. And that's enough to get the 3-0 dub here in week 2.
Yet I was concerned for UTD not winning a single Bocage in the first 2 maps. Well, now you can clearly see why. 14 objective kills for Schlepp. 19 of their eliminations, real kills by the way, were not traded. And 14 of those were inside the hard point. The dude, to your point, was just alive for about 2 minutes worth of time. Coming from P1 to the second set of hills, going over towards Mail, they were just finding way too much value. Just way too much value with an automaton. And that is the biggest talking point of them all, is just how good that weapon is in a cracked individual's hands like Schlepp. We saw them do it on the Bocage opening hardpoint, where they went on 7 in a row for their first life. In the reset, going into Bocage Search and Destroy, another 7 in a row for themselves. There were 3 maps that we played here. In all 3 maps, Schlepp got fully streaked out of their mind with the automaton in their hand. In a game where you would consider the MP40 to be the better weapon to be able to take close range fights, Schlepp said, hold on, I'm not even using the Slate Reflector, my friend. I'm just going to go ahead and do it with the automaton with the reflector. And he just flawless being able to do it. They beat Texas Tech in the 100-point club, to your point. They just put UTD in the 100-point club as well. A solid win for UTA to be able to walk away with here in week 2, day 1.
It's a hell of a statement, that is for sure. All that practice, the 6 days of scrims that they have just been putting into their schedule has been paying off early on in the weeks as they'll put their second win up on the board. UTD COD, unfortunately, still going to be winless in the CCL, but we'll keep our eye on them going in towards their second match throughout this week as well to see if they can get that dub or not. But now, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for our second match on the night. We still got one more coming up here for you guys, and we come back for the break at ICC Esports going up against Oklahoma Christian. We'll see you then.